Hello everyone, and welcome back to Vatsim 101, and welcome to Lukla Airport. And we're situated way high up in the Himalayan mountains here in Nepal, India. And this airport is very popular for tourists who wish to travel to Mount Everest or climb up Mount Everest if they're brave enough, but also is popular for its challenging short sloped runway. And as you can see here, the town is very beautifully detailed and very true to life as well. So today we're going to be having a look at engine start and shutdown procedures, and our TBM 930 is waiting for us on ramp 4. So let's get straight into the cockpit and get things set up. One of the first things that we want to do before we put power to the aircraft is just go through a simple cockpit preparation, and just to make sure that all the switches are in the right place. So we have the external lights, they're all off, and the internal lights, they're off as well, and the crash bar is down, which means the source and the generator switches are down and off. The starter, that's in the off position. Ignition, as always, in auto, and auxiliary boost pump, that's off, and the fuel selector, that's in manual, and autopilot trims, that's off. And the switch over here is the ELT switch, which is the emergency locator transmitter. And if we just click that, then it's working, and that just basically sends out a lost or find me transmitter should we get into trouble while flying. Okay, so just moving down to the lower part of the cockpit, we just make sure the switches here are in the off position, parking brake is set, landing gear is down, and the throttle is in the cut-off position as well. And also we need to make sure that the fuel tank is selected, either left or right tank as well. Okay, so let's just move the crash bar up and switch the source to BAT. So the Garmins are initializing, just going through its cycle of test, and we'll switch the middle one on. Not sure why that one always takes longer to come on than the others. So we're just waiting for the TORS system test confirmation now, which should come in just a few moments.
TORS system test. Okay.
Good, excellent. Okay, so starting of the TBM, it's not difficult. It's very easy, in fact. But all you have to do is remember a bunch of numbers and also timing. Now, timing is very crucial to the starting of the TBM. So we're going to have our timer screen set up and ready. All right. Now, before we actually go through the startup, I thought maybe it'd be good just to talk us through it, really. All right. So now what we're going to do is, if you have a look at the overhead panel, you can see that we have a starter switch and ignition and auxiliary boost pump. All right. So we're going to switch on the auxiliary boost pump first. All right. Then we're going to actually just have a check around to make sure it's all clear. And after that, we'll select the starter to on for 2 seconds. All right. And once we do that, we're going to confirm engine rotation. All right. So the propellers will start to turn. Right. Now, once we do that, once we switch the starter to on, it's important that we actually start the timer as well. So we need to get that going. Now, the reason for that is that we want to actually have a look at these two readouts here, the NG and the ITT. Very, very important to monitor this during startup. So we're looking for an NG percentage of 13%. Once this needle gets to that figure, then we will go to our throttle and we will move it from this position, which is the cutoff position, to the low idle position. Alright, now when the throttle is on this side, it's in what you call the feather position. Alright, and you can see the blades have now turned from feather to normal prop position. Alright, and if I put that back, it will turn back. Okay, so this is the first position, the low idle position. Okay, now after 13%, what we are looking for is a 52% mark, and we will also see a white starter light down here, which means that half your igniters have ignited, and our cue to move from low idle to this position, flight idle, is, let's move that back, is when the NG reaches 52% and also the starter goes off. That's the time we will move from low idle to flight idle, all the time monitoring the ITT temperatures, because this is not allowed to be at, say, 870 degrees for more than 20 seconds or 1000 degrees for more than 5 seconds. Alright, so it shouldn't get that far, but it's important to monitor it. Okay, and also it's important to just have a look at the oil pressures as well and oil temperature. Alright, now at the moment we've got battery voltage of 24 volts. Now the longer we keep talking and not starting the aircraft, is going to go down. Alright, it will actually start at 22 volts. I've even started on 21 volts before, but it's good to actually have good battery voltage. Now we ain't going to get 24.5, that's the maximum we'll get, because good battery voltage means that you've got good NG rotation and acceleration during startup, and it just overall gives you a better startup of the engine. Okay, now the other thing to mention is on the overhead panel you have another position here on the starter which is called abort, and if, say for example, you notice that which has happened to me before, that the NG actually stops at, say, 19% and it's not going anywhere, then you can actually click on the starter and switch it to abort, which will just stop the whole process. Alright, and then you can start again. But the thing is, with using the starter, the abort switch, you have to wait 1 minute. Okay, and on your second attempt, then you have to wait 5 minutes. And if it doesn't start on that attempt, then you have to wait 30 minutes. Okay, now we are in a simulator, so whether you want to wait that long is up to you, but I wouldn't wait. But in the real aircraft, the real TBM, you literally have to do, you have to wait those times. You see the battery now, look, it's 23%. That's because we've been I've been talking on. Alright, so that's what we're going to do, and that is it for the engine start. Alright, unless I've forgotten something. So what we'll do now, we'll just make sure that's in cutoff position, and then we will go to our overhead. Alright, and we'll switch the main generator on. Now you notice here at the bottom we have main gen. So this is a lights out switch on type of cockpit. So because main gen is on or displayed, then we know that the main gen switch is actually switched off. So we'll just correct that and just turn that on, and you can see that the main gen message indicator has disappeared. And then we'll go for boost pump, check around to make sure it's all clear. Okay, and we also check, I forgot to mention, the boost pump indicator is on with the flashing halo indicator on it as well. Okay, so you can see its outside temperature is -4 degrees, so we're looking at a cold start. Parking brake and oil pressures are up as well, and we have a low voltage sign now as it's lower than 24 volts. Okay, so let's go to the overhead panel. We're going to move this to the start position for 2 seconds, and then we'll start the timer. 1, 2, start the timer, and we're going to monitor the NG, confirm engine rotation, which it is. At 13%, we're going to move the throttle to low idle position and continue to monitor. You notice the starter there, which is on. NG 30% before 30 seconds, and now we're looking at 52% and watching for the starter to go off. Starter's gone off, we're at 52%, and now we're going to move it from low idle to flight idle, keeping an eye on the ITT, which is at a cool 517, and keeping an eye on the oil temperature as well and the oil pressure. Okay, and we've reached 52% even before 1 minute as well. Notice the battery voltage has gone up to 29. This is because we're generating our own power with the engines running. ITT now is at 519, 518. Oil pressure is rising slowly, and temperature as well. That'll be rising slowly as well. And prop is settling at 570. NG should be settling at 70. In the real TBM it would be 70 plus or minus 2, but in this one here it's 58. I've seen it at 60, but we're not going to get it any more than that. Alright, so we'll just stop the timer here and reset that, put the PFD back. Okay, so after engine start, so we do have a successful start, and we're looking at after engine start procedures. And so we've checked the oil temperature, and now we need to turn off the auxiliary boost pump. Alright, and just confirm the message has gone out. Okay, fuel selector we will now put to auto, and we need to check also that the fuel tank shift button is actually working. So if we just have a look at this here, you can see the fuel tank is on the left tank, fuel selector switch rather is on the left tank, and if we press the fuel shifter button it switches to the right and back to the left again, so that is working. Okay, and autopilot trims, make sure that's in the on position, and the generator is on, make sure of that, and just check the CAS messages. Okay, so the stall no heat and the pitot heat left and right, they're not normally switched on until just before takeoff. Now the bleed button, make sure that's put in auto as well. Okay, so that is essentially how you start the TBM 930. So we can see that everything's running quite normally. Right, so that is it, and the gauges actually will stay as it is. You can see the oil temperature now is 35, so that will probably stay as it is. Just looking at the battery amps here, below 50, and it's reading out 44, and as we said the voltage is 29. Okay, and fuel is there. So now we can move on to shutdown procedures. Okay, so what do we do? Well, one of the things we need to make sure is that if we just pulled in, for example, from a long flight, and we've just pulled up to our tack to our stand, and we're just about to shut down. So what we need to do is obviously make sure the parking brake is set. All the external lights, make sure they're switched off, as well as the internal lights, and the oxygen masters, they are, make sure they're off as well. So these should have been switched on really. Just make sure they're off. Okay, and a fuel selector, that'll go back to manual. Autopilot trims off. So pretty much the reverse of what we've done to actually start up. Okay, and bleed, we'll switch that to off. Okay, and now to actually turn the engine off or shut the engine down, okay, we need to make sure that the engine has been idle for at least 2 minutes. Alright, so once it's been idle for 2 minutes, then what we do, we'll move the throttle from flight idle to low idle. Okay, now watch the ITT temperature. That's actually going up. Now we need to make sure that doesn't go up any more than what it is. As you can see, you've got bells and whistles coming on now, so we'll move this to the cutoff position. Okay, so we left it a little bit too long.
Oral warning,
And
okay.
Just cancel the oral warnings there. Alright, so that was actually left a bit long. You can see what happens when you do leave it long. It really starts to overheat, and you'll have the fuel pressure warning signs and all sorts come up on the CAS display. Okay, so auxiliary boost pump, I think that is off. Actually, we should have turned that off afterwards, but right. Yep, that is off, and then you go to the generator and shut that down, and turn off your battery source and crash lever down, and that's it. We're back to how we started. So that is how you start up and shut down the TBM 930. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you do like it, please do give us a like, a thumbs up, and like and subscribe. And if you want to know how to set up the TBM throttle, then please do see my video on how to actually set up the TBM 930 throttle system with your throttle, your Cytec, or whatever controller you have, so that you can actually make it work with this really unusual throttle system. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you all again in the next video. Bye for now.